Right, let's bring in Bethany Dawson and Molly Blackall for a quick look at some of the US papers, at least. Guys, morning to you, and thank you very much for sticking around this morning. Would have talked about the news of the day in the morning's newspapers, but we're going to look, first of all, at the Washington Post, I believe, which we have there on that screen. Of course, all the New York papers, all the US papers will be focused on the situation from the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, what's difficult when you're working in print news, unlike, online or TV that can roll constantly, is that there's a deadline on this, and this happened just before that. So I'm sure all of the papers frantically rewritten at that point. And I think the headline here really reflects how little was known at that moment. It just says chaos at White House media dinner. Clearly very little detail at that point. Really what we know now, the name, the age that's come out since, wouldn't probably have been available at that point. But these images are really stark, really shocking. That first one of the Secret Service agents sort of in position, poised, ready to fire, looks like something out of an action movie.
Yeah.
It speaks to the kind of the drama really that unfolded there, and the life and death nature of this situation. And then to see journalists, sheltering under a table, they're really horrific and shocking scenes. And certainly we'll get more detail, I think, on things like the motive, the ideology, if there was one, the target even, as this progresses, because right now it's really not clear. Obviously, this looks at first glance to be an attempted assassination of US President Donald Trump, but there's no real evidence at the moment as to who he was aiming at, this alleged shooter, or any kind of ideological drive behind that. So as many questions as answers at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring up the New York Times if we can, and Bethany, let's have a look at the reporting on the front of the New York Times there. Again, their headline saying Trump is unharmed after gunfire at Washington event. And as Molly rightly points out, newspapers will have been put to bed and they'll go to print. Their websites, of course, can keep ticking over and can keep sort of things going to the top of the page as they get new updates.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's been difficult this morning is new information has been kind of slow. That would make sense. I mean, it would be slightly odd if suddenly we understood all of the details with no delay. But I think, people are incredibly desperate to know what was happening, why it happened, especially when, the president was in danger, and as were journalists, so many people that we are so used to seeing. I expect that today, I definitely will be checking every single push notification and refreshing all of those feeds just to be updated as much as we can be.
Yep. Let's have a look at the Wall Street Journal, which also, of course, is covering this. Their headline, shooter throws Trump's night with press into chaos. And shot there, I guess that's the beginning of the video of the moment, perhaps when Melania Trump and Donald Trump heard the noise.
That video is really interesting, actually, because it does look, and not all of these details are to be confirmed, but it looks like Melania spots it first.
She seems to notice first. He mentioned that in the news conference, actually, that she was like, something's not right.
She spotted it really quickly. And actually, it also looked like US Vice President J.D. Vance was actually escorted out more quickly than Donald Trump as well. So definitely, I'm sure the whole Secret Service, though they appear to have done an excellent job in diffusing the situation, from first glance at least, I'm sure there will be a kind of audit, a debrief, a kind of post-mortem, if you will, on that operation. I'm sure there's always lessons that can be learned, because certainly the CCTV footage that's come out, which shows the alleged shooter appearing to enter the venue, it is quite shocking. He basically just seems to run through, and I think your correspondents flagging that they were concerned about potentially lax security, at the event, potentially not enough checks. I'm sure all of those details and all of those questions will be answered with time.
Yeah, they certainly will. OK, Molly Blackall, Bethany Dawson, thanks both very much for your time this morning as we continue to process what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last night. An individual, a 31-year-old called Cole Thomas Allen, in custody, being questioned by US authorities. The President, the First Lady, is safe, but now the investigation continues into exactly the motivation behind this. Trevor Phillips up next.